You need to stop. I will call the police.
Why can't you love me?
Deadly consequences.
If you won't love me, then you'll fear me.
So, last week we were talking about...
A sad update in the case of a missing 6-year-old from South Carolina. Authorities say they have found the body of Faye Swetlik. She'd been missing for 3 days.
It is with extremely heavy hearts that we are announcing that we have found the body that the coroner has identified as Faye Maureen Swetlik. We are now treating this case as a homicide.
Milwaukee County 911, location of your emergency.
Sprague, Washington, downtown on Main Street. A man grabbed about a 2-year-old baby child and was running with it. The little kid started screaming. So far, we haven't seen him, but we got the baby.
Okay.
He's okay.
We got the baby and he's okay. That was the most important thing about how this story ended that day. Police in Washington State are searching for a man who tried to abduct a 2-year-old boy, Owen Wright, from a park on Sunday. The kidnapping seen on this grocery store surveillance video was stopped by Owen's 8-year-old sister Delisha and 10-year-old brother Brendan, who chased the suspect down the street. Then 2 teenagers, both freshmen in high school, joined in that pursuit. The kidnapper dropped Owen and escaped. Owen was uninjured. Police in Washington
To know that it's because of you that all these people are dead.
How far are you willing to go?
If I kill you, then I'm just as crazy as you are, right?
Just want you to take the pain away.
A deadly obsession.
Faye went missing last Monday afternoon in her front yard. Her body found near her house on Thursday.
The body of her neighbor, 30-year-old Cody Taylor, was also found that day. And tonight, we know authorities believe he abducted and killed Faye, adding he was the sole suspect.
I am neither proud or nor ashamed of being a pedophile. At this point, I just accept it. It's who I am.
Dean, stop it. Dean. Dean, stop.
Okay, this is Awkward Occurrence with Awkward Entertainment. If you haven't caught that last special on Faye Swetlik, it's called Unnatural Attractions. So go check out the second episode of that little series. But this is gonna be a quick rewind of the press conference about Faye Autopsy. So it's gonna be broken down. It's not gonna be the full. This is gonna be an edited version that I pick. You know, places in the conference I pick and just edit it down. So let's get right into the press conference.
I'd like to thank the Casey Department of Public Safety and the Town of Lexington Police Department for their assistance with that touching tribute to a little girl who has touched as many hearts. There are no adequate words to express the depth of our sadness and our sympathy for Faye's parents. Faye Swetlik's death did not occur at the location where her body was discovered. And her body had not been at that location. Her body had been at that location for only a short time. We have concluded that Faye's death was a homicide and took place within only a few hours after she was abducted. The cause...
So only a few hours after she was abducted. So the same day she was abducted, she passed away. So Coty Scott Taylor strangled her to death the same day, that Monday. Was it a Monday she got off of the bus? And she passed away. And 3 days later, they found her on that Thursday. So let's continue. Same day, passed away.
Faye's death has been ruled asphyxiation. Unless there's new evidence pertinent to the investigation of my office, we will not release any additional information regarding Faye Marie Swetlik. Thank you.
8 days ago at approximately.
So there's really not much else I guess people were asked to release right now. She was found. They didn't say she was buried, so she wasn't buried. She was found in the woods behind his house. And he personally, the one speaking personally, found her in the woods. He checked the trash can, found the shoe, polka dot shoe. Then he walked to whatever suspicion he had. He walked to the back of Cody's yard, found Faye, went to Cody's place. Well, a call came in for Cody saying there was a white male bleeding to death. So let's get back into the press conference.
Approximately 3:45 p.m., Faye Marie Swetlik was discovered to be missing by her mother. Her mother did what most parents would do. She called her friends, she gathered her neighbors, and she frantically looked around the neighborhood for her daughter. Having no luck, she placed a frantic call to 911 at approximately 5 p.m. By 5:03, Casey officers were on the scene at Churchill Heights and were gathering information. They talked with family members and neighbors and began going through the neighborhood to look for Faye. Within 30 minutes of their arrival, officers notified the Casey command staff, including myself, and all of us immediately responded to Churchill Heights and began asking for assistance from other local agencies. By 6 p.m., having so far not located Faye, both SLED and the FBI were contacted and immediate assistance was requested. At this time, we had 50 or more law enforcement officers, firefighters, and first responders on the scene, and we were doing organized canvasses door to door in searches of the neighborhood to initiate our first and initiated our.
But the initial, the K9 dogs didn't find her, but there were K9 dogs used. So they never picked up on the scent on Faye, which I guess is possible. But let's get back into this.
First neighborhood perimeter search. Numerous K9 teams from several local agencies were in the area searching for Faye. Faye was placed in the NCIC, that's the National Crime Information Database, as a missing child. A BOLO, or Be on the Lookout For, was issued for Faye to every agency across our region. We placed pictures and information across social media, and it immediately was shared by thousands of people. While this was happening, the Lexington County Sheriff's Office and the Casey Department of Public Safety were setting up a mobile command unit in the middle of the neighborhood so that we could maintain a presence of officers in that area 24 hours a day until this was concluded. We also converted Casey City Hall into a much larger stationary command center for the more than 300 law.
So they not completely, but they locked down the neighborhood and were checking on anybody coming in and out the neighborhood for a few days. And it suggests Mr. Scott Taylor, or Cody, he moved her body at nighttime. Well, he moved it around at nighttime somehow, because the body wasn't in his house when they did the first search.
Law enforcement officers and firefighters from across the region that joined in our search. For the remainder of the night, there was a heavy presence of first responders in and around the area. Casey officers shut down the neighborhood and were instructed to stop every car coming in and going out of the neighborhood and to talk to every person they saw to see if they had any information about Faye's whereabouts. By Tuesday morning, A dedicated Faye Swetlik hotline was set up and went live at our command center. We began roadblock operations at all entrances around the neighborhood. We spoke to everyone coming in and going out and asked for consent to look in their vehicles. Everyone was extremely cooperative, understanding, and very. This is what the officers used when they talked to anyone in reference to this case. That morning we did a coordinated effort with multiple agencies to go door to door to question all residents, friends, and visitors in all 280 plus homes in Churchill Heights. Our goal was to speak to every occupant of every residence, no matter how long it took. And we would also request consent to enter and look for anything that would lead us to find Faye. Grid searches of the perimeter of the neighborhood were also conducted multiple times. All the while, officers were again instructed to check every pool, creek, culvert, manhole, trash can, shed, or any other structure or area that a young girl may be in. Canines continued to search.
Yeah, and the canines sucked. You just suck. You need to get some new canines. Get some new coaches for those canines.
On Wednesday, another round of grid and perimeter searches were conducted. Wednesday night, with all the current law enforcement operations taking place, we decided to bring another city department as a resource to help us find Faye. Thursday was the regular sanitation pickup day for Churchill Heights, and all residents were obviously aware of that. On Thursday morning, our officers diligently and
Well, yeah, everybody knows the trash pickup days in the neighborhood, and they'll pull the trash can out. Well, you should. Everybody should.
methodically followed the Casey sanitation trucks through the neighborhood, and as each can was loaded and emptied into the back of a garbage truck, they methodically combed through it to see if they could find any piece of information or clue.
So that was a messy job, just to methodically just jump in the back of a trash truck, and search for clues. That's a messy job. I hope they got paid extra for that. Just to follow behind that truck, 250 homes. I don't know how many homes they covered following behind a truck that day, but
Hopes of finding something that would lead us to Faye. At approximately 10 a.m., a trash can near 602 Piccadilly Square was emptied, and as our officers went through it, they found a couple of items that were of significant importance. One was a child's polka dot boot, and the second was a soup ladle that had freshly dug dirt in it. I happened to be on scene at that time, and upon seeing these items, I called for assistance to do an additional and immediate grid search of the areas directly behind Londonderry and Piccadilly Square. As assistance was coming, I went into the woods behind the townhomes, and just before 10:30 a.m., I located the body of Faye Swetlik.
he located the body of Faye Swetlik. But that's after finding her shoe outside in the trash can, parked in front, ready for trash pickup. And where was Mr. Scott at? Mr. Scott Taylor, Coty at?
At approximately 10:30, other Casey officers were notified of a residence that there was a man bleeding on the back patio. That was 602 Piccadilly Square. Officers immediately went to his aid and found a deceased white male. Immediately, SLED's crime scene unit collected various samples of DNA from both crime scenes and from inside 602 Piccadilly Square.
So I believe he cut his own throat after the fact of finding Faye, of them finding Faye. So did he see that they found the body and was located him as a suspect, or did he see the officers going in his trash can, picking out a boot, then walking in the backyard and into the woods and finding the body? Did he see that, or was the body further away from his back door where he can see the officers finding the body?
That DNA, once tested, connected the unknown pieces of this horrific crime. I can tell you that the deceased male had been contacted and interviewed at 602 Piccadilly on Wednesday afternoon. He was cooperative and gave consent to agents to look through the house. Those agents did not see anything that alerted them to believe that he had knowledge or was in any way involved in Faye's disappearance at that time.
And people are asking, where did he hide the body? Which is an interesting question. It was just a good question.
Evidence leads us to believe that the deceased abducted and killed 6-year-old Faye Marie Swetlik. And it appears that he is the sole perpetrator of this crime. Evidence further shows that Faye's body was moved in the shadow of the night.
And the evidence is video. They claim to have over 300 gigabytes of video. So that's hours and hours of video. And claim to have him on camera acting funny. But I believe they got the case was only 3 days old. So they probably got that video on Tuesday or Wednesday. 'Cause it was only 3 days. Or maybe after. Either or. Let's get back to the video. It was only 3 days. You got so much video.
To behind the townhouses where she was found. In the early morning hours to every house until every resident or occupant of that house was interviewed. Many times that took 3 to 4 times to accomplish. There were 4 searches of the perimeter from the time Faye went missing until the night before she was found. That included trash cans, dumpsters, and other areas around the neighborhood. As of Friday at 5 p.m., officers had followed 283 leads just from the hotline alone. All those leads were followed until they were exhausted. We pulled video from almost 50 locations and reviewed a total of 756 gigabytes of video.
My bad, 756 gigabytes. So that's over 100 hours. So did they pull the video? They may have pulled the video after or before. Because if they pulled the video beforehand, before Thursday, they could have saw him maybe on camera approaching her and she leaving with him.
I'll say in my 33 years of law enforcement, I have never seen such a large group of officers, investigators, firefighters, and other first.
He's talking about how the case broke down. So Coty Scott Taylor approached. This is what I'm getting from it. He approached Faye Swetlik, took her home, strangled her the same day. Then the police on Wednesday, this happened Monday, police interviewed Scott Taylor on Wednesday. They searched his house, they couldn't find the body. Now he's getting to the end of his speech, but this is the edited version. So he'll just explaining the case. But she died by asphyxiation, she died by strangulation. And it was on the same day she was abducted. He held the body for about 3 days. Then he dumped the body in the backyard of his complex on Thursday. She went missing Monday.
Responder and staff come together in the way. I'll take any questions anybody has now.
Sir, is there any indication where she may have been between Monday night and Thursday?
Well, the male, he wasn't buried around her. The police responded to a call of a white male bleeding. So Scott Taylor, Cody, he slit his own throat. And I believe they say he slit his own throat on his back patio of his apartment. So I'm not sure how far away Faye was from his apartment. So the guy talking at the podium is the guy who found Faye's body. He checked Scott Taylor's trash can, found a boot. Then he had an intuition to walk into the wooded areas in the back of Scott Taylor's townhouse and found her body. And I think around the same time, Mr. Coty Scott Taylor slit his own throat.
We do not know at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Why was the decision made to do the autopsy at USC?
That's a question for the coroner.
Now this part, they let the reporters ask a few questions, and it was just basic questions.
MUSC as the forensic pathologist are at MUSC, and they handle all the autopsies for the coroner's office that are forensically related to cases. So that was not an unusual thing for us to send them to MUSC. They do all of our forensic cases.
Did the suspect have a roommate?
Yes.
You made contact with that roommate this week?
We have been in contact with roommate, yes. And we have nothing that indicates that he knew anything about what was going on. And he was not at the residence that much during the time.
Any indication as to what the cause of death was, or the male who was found dead?
That will be released by the coroner after this.
So he had a roommate, but the roommate wasn't around when he basically kidnapped Faye, or if he lured her to his house. So they asked if he had a roommate, yes, and he wasn't around.
Talking about the security footage you reviewed and the tips you got, looking back, did anything link to Cody Taylor's involvement on that video or in the tips that you received?
We do have some video that shows Cody doing some things that were suspicious to us, yes.
Can you elaborate on what those were?
No, not at this time.
Two more.
So they do have video of Cody doing suspicious things. That video, they may release video in a week or two, at least 2 weeks. They'll release video related to this case. You may see him maybe carrying her in something, because the police was canvassing the area 24 hours for a couple day period. Maybe he put her in something to conceal her. But you'll see things maybe like him carrying her, him walking back and forth from the house, this strange activity. We may also see him approach her and them leave together. Now, there's a theory going around that Coty Scott Taylor knew the family. But of course, no, she didn't he didn't know the family because they report he didn't know the family. But you know that theory is coming from the tarot card psychic community. Some of them, not all of them. It's still crazy either way. But no, he did not know the family as per reported. So.
Questions, and that'll be all.
Did he leave any kind of note or message of any kind behind?
None.
What did you say when you interviewed him?
I did not interview him, and quite frankly, I don't know exactly what he said.
Inside the residence after you discovered Faye, was there anything else that showed further evidence that she had in fact been inside that residence?
Well, DNA was tested and did connect and link the residence, the deceased male, and Faye to that location.
You mentioned that ladle with dirt on it. What led you to believe that had a connection?
It was a hunch.
All right, that'll be all today.
And they mentioned DNA was tested. And someone in a chat under mainstream media say he left DNA on Faye. So those details haven't came out. So we don't know what he did. But he's the only suspect. There's nobody else. He is a predator. He is a pedophile. To even do something like that.
Thank you all very much. If you
Thank
have
you.
any questions, please let us know. Check your emails, certainly for a statement from the coroner's office.
Okay, that's it for that. So I just wanted to touch on a few things involving that. And he is, let me see if I have it. Yeah. Let's start from the bottom. According to the coroner Fisher, the autopsy performed on February 16th, 2020 concluded that Mr. Taylor's death was a result of an incisive wound to the neck, so he cut his neck open. And I'm wondering, did he do it after they found the body? And was he watching them find the body, then decide he didn't want to go to jail and just cut his neck open? And that's very wild to just didn't even think of. It's very wild. But the press conference seemed, I guess, very basic. Some details, I guess, weren't released because they're still trying to get those details together and piece it themselves. Now, should some details have been revealed? I'm thinking it was just basic, Now I'm checking for media, and I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm just checking for media. Anybody got any questions? I will answer any questions before I head out. And that's not it. All right, that's it, folks. This has been Awkward Occurrence with Awkward Entertainment, and I will see y'all in the next video.